the sake of drawing practice, idea generation, and fun, I'm redesigning popular characters in the setting of Dead Gods. My dragon patrons voted on who I would attempt next. The winner received over half the total votes. They really do have good taste. For the next 4 weeks, I'll be redesigning the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, starting with Conquest. In the Book of Revelation, chapter 6, John is shown a vision of 4 horsemen. The first is Conquest, or the Conqueror. And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. These horsemen were symbolic of an apocalypse that was in the author's future. Some think they represent events that are yet to happen. Some connect them to the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in AD 70. In the context of that historical interpretation, the first horseman would represent the Roman Empire. These redesigns are all about changing their context. If someone in the late antediluvian era was given a vision of the 4 horsemen to symbolize the impending cataclysm, what else might they represent? At the time of this story, humanity is utterly conquered. The Watchers and their giant children, the Nephilim, have crowned themselves the living gods of this world. Through cruel cunning and brute strength, they are unrivaled rulers that bask in the worship of the people they have subjugated. To convey that, I thought that instead of riding a living animal, this giant version of Conquest could ride on a large statue that's pushed by slaves. I want to make sure that I'm taking advantage of the palette at my disposal. He could ride an ancestor of horses, but dinosaurs are right there. Though to be clear, I'm not just using a dinosaur because it's undeniably cool. I thought a lot about what kind of creature a character like this might ride. I chose regaliceratops because of its defensive strength, for defending an established kingdom, but also its crown-like crest. I'm using Art Deco as a stylistic influence. It perfectly captures the decadence and confidence of an empire at its height. The modern qualities of this style also hint at a level of advancement that's not usually used in artwork set before the flood. For the regaliceratops, I tried to bring in some of the energetic and geometric lines you typically see in Art Deco sculpture. For Conquest's costume, I thought about how the rulers of this world would communicate power. In the angelic hierarchy, the Burning Ones, or Seraphim, are the highest-ranking angels. They would be seen as one of the most potent symbols of power in creation. They have 6 wings, covered in eyes. This costume is designed to look like it's made of a multitude of collected seraphim wings. I purposefully left the eyes dark, as though they were removed. Take a powerful symbol, and then attempt to set yourself higher than it, by implying that you have conquered it. His hands are drenched in blood, a visceral reminder that despite all of his pomp, he's perfectly comfortable getting his hands dirty. And with a little more rendering to get that metal to gleam, we have Conquest, the first of the 4 prehistoric horsemen, symbolizing the conquering of humanity. Now to continue with Dead Gods Episode 3. While I liked the thumbnail version of Bastion, I decided to show him in profile to sell his low growl. I wrestled with sound in this panel. In my outline, I wrote out a growling sound for him, but it didn't sit well with me. With my quick doodle, it was necessary because it was hard to tell what he was actually doing. The more I actually drew him, the more I realized that I didn't need it. I'm not a fan of written sound effects in comics. I understand why they're there, and they can be done very well. My preference is to trust the reader's brains to create the sounds they can see. A snarling dog is also likely to be growling. If I wanted the reader to hear him bark, I could open his mouth a little more. In this way, the art gets to be the art, and I find it starts to feel more immersive. In the next panel, the shipwright turns his head slightly to indicate that he heard the same growl we all just did. You'll see the shaft of his axe appear in the final image. At first, I didn't have it in here, but in the following shot, he's swinging it. I didn't want it to feel like it came out of nowhere, so you'll see I went back in to add it. I love stories that respect my intelligence and force me to pay attention and draw conclusions. At the same time, I don't want to create unnecessary stumbling blocks. As simple as it is, adding the handle of the axe in this shot helps to keep things flowing smoothly. The shipwright swings his axe. This was a challenging pose. I wanted it to feel dynamic, but it also required some foreshortening. You can watch me wrestle with the angle of the axe and the anatomy of his swinging arm. I had to reference my own arm a couple of times, and even when it looks like I've figured it out, at the inking stage I reworked the hand all over again to give him a better grip. I used my rough 3D model of the axe as a guide, but only after I had figured everything else out. It's easy to get stuck trying to work with an image of a 3D model, even when it's yours, and you can just adjust the camera and get a better angle. I find it works out better to figure out the drawing, then pose whatever models you need to match. It preserves more energy. Now for the experimental part. I've been reading a lot of Japanese comics lately. I used to read them in my younger days, but I'm circling back around after a couple decades away. I admired them then, but I have a whole new level of appreciation for their craftsmanship now. There are new lessons that I can extract from them. One thing I didn't do on Tellurian that I'd like to lean more into for this story is the indication of speed. You may have noticed hints of it sprinkled in already. This swinging axe is my first real attempt at a speed blur. It was a challenge for me to trust this approach. I constantly felt compelled to just draw solid lines, but breaking them up, I think the final result worked out. As with all the new techniques I'm piling on, it'll take some getting used to, but I want to build confidence with them, so I have to start somewhere. With that, page 1 of episode 3 is complete. It's going faster than the previous 2 episodes. This combination of techniques works as intended. It's faster, and giving me a final result that suits the story more. Next week, I'll start page 2 and cover the second horseman of the apocalypse, War. Thanks for watching. One quick note. I love it when people send me Dead Gods related artwork, and I like to post them at the end of the videos. Fan art is awesome, where people draw their version of things they've seen. There's another kind of art that I've been seeing more and more that I find very encouraging. It's more inspired by Dead Gods, like the 2 images you're seeing here. They're inventing their own things in this setting. That tells me that the setting is sturdy enough that other talented people can pick it up and play with it too. Really cool to see.